Hi guys, how are you today? It is cold and it is blustery and you can tell the winter is well on its way, let me tell you. And with winter, particularly at this time of year, comes Christmas, my favorite holiday. I love decorating for the holidays. And I also love painting things for the holidays, getting things made up for family and for friends. And this year, I think it's really important that we try to stay as connected as possible. So I have been playing a lot with small things that are easy to make, things that are easy to get. And especially right now, getting all of those surfaces and getting your supplies has been more and more difficult. And so instead of giving you a paint list that you may or may not have or may not be able to get, and a supply list that you may not be able to fill, I sat down and thought about how I could come up with ways to fill some gaps. And so with these gift tags, that's exactly what I did. So I went looking for fabric or something to paint them on and couldn't find any canvas set, couldn't find any canvas paper for that matter. So I had to adjust my idea a little bit and came up with a couple of other options. So we're going to paint with tags, but before we get started, I do have a giveaway this week. I try to make sure that you always have a giveaway, and this week's involves some of the things we're going to do today, and I have a great set of Faber-Castell black liners. You're going to love these. They're amazing, and they're not so easy to get your hands on, but I do have a set to give away. They're worth probably about $25, which is a really nice little set to win. And in order to win it, you have to hit that comment button, throw a comment in the comment section, hit the subscribe button or the like button or the share button on my Facebook. Hit all the buttons. Just hit all the buttons. Probably be the best thing to do it. Just go ahead and hit all those buttons, and you'll automatically be entered for the drawing for those great Faber-Castell black liners. You're going to love them. So today we have some fun in store. We're going to be working on these great little tags. They're so easy and they're fun to do, and I have some great suggestions on what you can do if you can't find everything that is in that supply list. So I think we're just about ready to get started. These are fun little tags. Now I did up a pattern called Merry Christmas, which is this little guy here, this little tray. The tray is from Sheila Landry, and her website is tollpaintingdesigns.com. This is a fabulous little surface, absolutely fabulous. You can find this on her website, but in the pattern are the line drawings for all of these tags, every one of them. So all of those tags are also in the pattern. So these are really very simple to do, and today we're going to bang out a couple. And I'm going to show you something really cool. Now, these little wooden tags, they're usually available at Michael's, and you can find them in a variety of places. Even dollar stores have them in a variety of sizes. This one is, I think, a standard 2x4 inch tag. It's not that unusual. It's not even an odd size. So they're relatively simple to find, ordinarily. We all know that these are not ordinary times. So I did these ones. This one, believe it or not, is on cardboard that I salvaged from cat food box. And this one is actually from cereal
Cheerios.
box. It's from his Cheerios. And this one is from the cat food box. So I just took that line drawing, and that tag shape is in the pattern. So you have the shape right there. So you just trace the shape onto the cardboard, and then you can put a coat of gesso on both sides, and then you're ready to paint them. And that's what these are. This is just that cereal box, the Cheerios box. We cut it all up into tags, and then I took a hole punch, just a standard hole punch, to put the hole in the tag, and you're ready to go. So this is, a quick and easy way to produce a very inexpensive surface. It's just a simple tag, so you know, I don't see an issue with making this, and it's heavy enough that it'll be a bit more substantial than just paper, and then you can just add your favorite ribbon, or in this case I used baker's twine, or I used jute to tag them. So there you have it. Great little surface. The other thing you can use is watercolor paper. That's what these ones are, and I just used those Faber-Castell black liners to put my line drawings on, and then I just used a little bit of fluid acrylic or watercolor pencils or colored pencils to fill in all of the shapes. And when it was all done, I added some glitter over top of it. And these made really cute little tags. And again, I just punched a hole in it with a hole punch and then added a little bit of satin ribbon that I had in my stash to make these fun little tags. So there's all kinds of ways that you can bang out some really fast and really cute Christmas tags or ornaments, depending on how you want to use them. And I just took some very simple design ideas and broke them down, and then just created some simple little tags. So today we're going to show you how to paint that candy cane and those holly leaves. And these are really simple. I have worked with a very basic and very minimal palette. I didn't want to have a ton of colors on that supply list because color is difficult to get. So I'm working with antique green in this one, and I've base coated with antique green for the holly leaves and this little leaf down here. And the berries and the stripes in the candy cane are all based with country red. Now, if you don't have country red, go right ahead and use Santa red. Any nice deep dark red will do perfectly. There's no need to have exactly what's written in the supply list. You can substitute quite easily. If you can't find the antique green, then use olive green, or sorry, not olive green, avocado green will work just fine. And if you can't find the matcha green that I use, use the olive green. And those are perfect substitutes.
Got some people wondering where they can get the pattern.
The pattern is available on my website at tracymoreau.net. And it's both, and it is available in both a print version and in the electronic version.
But you said these tags are from another pattern, though.
Nope, that's the Merry Christmas pattern.
Oh, is it?
Yep. It's called Merry Christmas. You won't be able to miss it. It's got this little guy on it with the gingerbread and the holly and the candy canes. So we're going to start with that candy cane right off the bat. Now I'm going to show you an odd color that I shade with. You know I'm going to shade it with asphaltum, so I'm going to get some of that on the palette. But I also am going to shade these candy canes with blue. Now ordinarily I use the cobalt teal because I really love the fluid acrylics, but again, they're difficult to get. So if you can't find the fluid acrylic, or you don't have the fluid acrylic and don't want to buy the fluid acrylic, you can use Laguna instead, which is the Americana color. I just got to find it here in my paint bin.
What about Bahama?
There it is. Bahama blue might be a little too light. I have that on the palette right now, but I think it's a little too light. But the Laguna will work just fine. It's sort of a teal color. It will do the trick. It's close. So I'm going to do this with Laguna instead of the fluid acrylic. So you're going to shade the back side of that candy cane with a float of Laguna, right over the red, over the white. Just like that. And it can get a little on the dark side, that's okay. There we go. And I'm going to take that same color and come in here and shade that side, inside that little crook in the candy cane. I'm going to give that a second to dry. And I like to deepen colors, so I'm going to deepen that with a float of asphaltum. So give me a sec to dry this. So now I want to deepen that shading. I'm going to do that with a float of asphaltum. And I'm only using a little bit. I don't want this color full strength.
I knew I was hoarding paint for a reason. Sounds awfully familiar.
It does. So I'm going to float right over that blue with a float of asphaltum. And that's going to deepen our candy cane and deepen our shadows. Just enough. And now we have to add a highlight to this. Now I'm using warm white. Again, this is another color that's been in short supply, so if you can't find it, don't be afraid to use titanium white, it's fine. It's candy cane. So now we're going to put a highlight on this candy cane, and I'm going to come in about 1/8 of an inch from the edge of the candy cane, and I'm going to put a float of white like so. And I'm going to stop right at the top of that crook. And then I'm going to come down here at the bottom, and I'm going to put a float of the warm white up until it meets that leaf.
Somebody congratulating you? Question mark? Poor Kay.
There we go. So we've got a highlight in.
Are the tags you're painting on paper or what?
This one is actually the cereal box. This is, you know, he's missing a box from his Cheerios. And this one is just a little wooden tag. These ones are from the dollar store. So now I've got that highlight in. I'm going to take my liner brush and I'm going to thin out some warm white.
You'll be able to watch it on YouTube.
Yep.
Till your heart's content. Watch it over and over and over.
So then we're going to put a fine line of the warm white right at the edge of that float. There's your bright highlight. Now we're going to come down and take care of these leaves and these berries. Now those leaves, we're going to put a highlight. Now in the pattern I ask for matcha green, but you can use olive green. Just need a white based yellow green. You need something with a little bit of punch to it. And we're going to put a highlight.
Zoom in a bit more on the candy cane.
Going to put a highlight on the points of the leaves with that olive green. I'm being reminded to keep my piece in the shot.
What size liner brush was that? That was a micron, wasn't it?
This is a Dynasty Micron. It's a 10-aught extra long detail liner. Love these fine detail brushes. They're fantastic. And they have those at the Brush Guys. Don't forget, they've got a coupon code there. Tracy M will give you a nice little extra discount on any brushes that you order through them. So there's that olive green. I'm just putting that highlight on the edges of those leaves. Turn this around, so do the other side.
Love these videos. It's like a personal lesson from you. Thank you for doing them.
Now, these are going to look a little rough for a little bit, but that's okay. Rough's okay.
I find that winging it on colors helps you build your skills.
Doesn't hurt. Sometimes you have to wing it just to see where you're going to end up.
Just remember, pink and orange do not go together.
So then I'm going to put a float of that olive green down the center of the leaf. And I'm going to do the same thing on this one, like so. Try to take that float right to the very tip of the leaf. That will help give you that curve. So I have those highlights in place. I'm going to rinse out my brush, and then we're going to add a shadow. And this is where things start to really give us the shape we're looking for. Now I'm using plantation pine for this. If you don't have plantation pine, you can use black green. You can use dark forest green. You just need a nice deep dark green for this part.
Are there any whites you can't substitute for highlighting? It says can't.
Can't, not really. If something is calling for a warm white, it's generally because the colors that you're working on highlighting are also warm. Titanium white can be warmed up a little bit just by adding a little light buttermilk. And just a scooch, you don't need much. It just changes the temperature of it, adds a little bit of yellow into the white, and it warms it up a little.
Whip up the translator here.
So there's that first layer of plantation pine in the shading.
Your hubby has a sexy voice. Well,
The voice that you're hearing, that sexy voice, is actually my son.
Yeah, not her hubby.
So there I have that shading on our holly leaves. Now I'm going to come down to this little one. Now, because it's such a small leaf, I don't really see the need to put a lot of shading on it or a lot of detail. So I'm just going to put a little float at the base, sort of a cup-shaped float at the base of the leaf.
Oh, pink and orange equals hippie culture. Okay. I learned something new.
Did you?
Yeah, sure.
And I'm going to put a little highlight at the tip of that leaf, and it's just a small one.
What size brush is that?
This one is a 3/8 angled shader. This is my favorite. It's a faux squirrel.
You're always asking. Always asking.
So there's that highlight at the tip of the leaf. Got the shading at the base. And now we have to do those berries. And I have a what I call a fast and dirty method of shading and highlighting berries.
Fast and dirty, quick and cheap. Perfect.
So I pick up a little bit of the base color. So in this case, it's the country red, but it could be any red that you're using. And I do this mainly when I'm shading anything that's red. So I'm going to load my brush with a little country red, and then I'm going to tip into a little of that lamp black and then blend the two together.
I'm going to apologize now.
He's cleaning the camera lens. So I've mixed sort of a deep dark burgundy red by mixing a little of that country red with the lamp black. And I'm going to shade the bottom of these berries with a little float of that. And I'm coming about just a little off the edge of the berry. So you can still see that original base coat at the bottom. So it's going to form like a little cup. Kind of smushed it a little on the bottom berry.
Not the bottom berry.
And then I'm going to highlight the berry with a weak float of the warm white. Now I'm blending this out well because I don't want that white full strength. And I'm going to go, the top of the berry is getting that, well, you need to have some color in it. I over blended here.
No apology necessary. Oh, you're right. I said
So I'm going to put a little float of that warm white, that thinned warm white at the top of the berries. So I'm sort of connecting that shadow and the highlight together. I'm going to switch to a smaller angle.
Is that black gold?
This is the black gold angle, and this is the 1/4 inch. This is the really small one. Needed a little more. There we go. Now I'm cooking with gas.
That's quite the highlight.
Yep. And again, I'm coming in from the edge so that that red is still showing around it. And then a final highlight, like we did with this, we've got to put a little dot of warm white on the berries. So now we're going to finish out our holly leaves. And I'm going to do that with a little bit of that olive green. I added just a touch of white to it, make it a little bit more opaque.
Apparently Oregon is very foggy.
So with that liner brush, I'm going to add just some fine lines to the edge of these leaves and a little one on the center. And oops, way too much water in my brush.
Maybe a lime flavored candy cane.
There we go. I like putting this little line on the edges of my leaves. It just softens them a little, defines them a little, and then you can do those curly cues coming off of the candy cane, and then that stem coming onto the little leaf.
It's a 10-aught micron?
This one is, yes, it's a 10-aught
Yeah.
micron, extra long detail liner. Now I've got a couple of little areas that I wanted to clean up because I don't like it when edges are not clean. So take that detail liner and a little bit of lamp black and clean up a couple of spots here where the paint sort of whoopsied over the edge.
Probably use what, a zero rigger to do those white dots as well. Right?
Yeah, a zero rigger, any small brush will work just fine. So this is where you get to clean things up a little bit, wherever things have kind of bobbled, or if you've got a little, you know, where your float has gone over the edge of things, you can clean them up a little, like so. Now I'm going to dry this real quick, because then I want to show you something really fun. It's the holiday season, so you gotta have glitter. You
Okay.
got to have glitter.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Keep it in the shot.
So we have Glamour Dust. Decor's got some really great sparkly stuff for this time of the year. We have Glamour Dust, which is that traditional dry glitter that, you know, you brush out your adhesion, you know, whatever you're going to use to stick it onto the surface, and then you just sprinkle this on. I am absolutely obsessed with this. Absolutely obsessed. I love this glitter varnish. This is a Duraclear varnish, and they added these amazing glitter flakes to it. It is not like the Starlight varnish. The Starlight has more this type of glitter in it, where it's super fine and very subtle. This one has that in your face, you gotta love it sparkle. I love this stuff. So here's the one on wood, and I love that sort of holographic effect that it has and the varying colors, and the sparkle is fantastic. But not only does it sparkle, but it protects your paintwork at the same time, because it's got great varnish.
They're suggesting that you turn them into scratch and sniffs.
Scratch and sniffs. A little bit of peppermint. Yeah,
Wouldn't it be fun if we could paint a clear layer of peppermint scent and take it up a notch?
Ooh, wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah.
Well, you know what? With the paper, there's nothing to say. You couldn't
Put it in like...
put a little peppermint oil on the back of this.
Mhm.
That would probably work. Okay, so I'm going to grab, there we go. I got to grab a brush here. You got to see how this stuff goes on. It's awesome. It looks kind of chunky and funky when you squirt it out of the bottle.
What is the name of the 10-aught from the brush cut? The Dynasty Micron.
Yes, the 10-aught is a Dynasty Micron. Now, this is a varnish, so you're going to love how the colors pop the minute you put this on. Now I'm brushing on that Galaxy varnish, it's called. And it's got great sparkle, and it dries quick. So I just brushed a little on.
Glitter.
He's not a fan. Can you tell? So I'm going to dry this real quick. I love how putting a coat of varnish makes the black look blacker, and you'd be hard pressed to tell the difference that this one is actually painted on a cereal box and this one is painted on wood. Wait till I get off of here. Gonna have to sort him out. So this is painted on cardboard, like the cereal box, quite literally. Makes a pretty tag. It's got enough rigidity with that gesso and then with the paint and the varnish that you can put a nice little ribbon on this. Let's do that. And it'll be ready to either decorate your gifts or it'll be ready to hang on the tree. And I love that little bit. Look at how that sparkles. I just love this stuff.
Yeah. Nothing happened.
Nothing happened. So I just make a loop and then slip this through. Just like that. And tuck it into place. And there you go. Fast, easy, fun to paint. Grab a
You're not going to paint another one?
bunch of wooden tags. Grab a bunch of... we're going to talk about these now.
Oh, you're going to do that. Watercolor paper. I was going to say, like,
Yeah.
short video today.
So there's our tag. This is, I mean, really done on cardboard. Looks great. So these are done on watercolor paper, and in this particular case, I used a 90-pound watercolor paper. And I just cut out the shape, punched a hole in it. Only this time around, I used some black pens. Now, I'm going to give you a couple of examples. Again, I've had to keep in mind that there's, the supplies are very limited and they're very difficult to get right now. So I was trying to think of ways and products that we could use that would sort of expand things a little bit and make it easier. So again, I used a 90-pound watercolor paper. In hindsight, however, I think 130 would have been a little more rigid, but these actually work just fine for gift giving. So I just traced my design onto the surface using one of the following. You can use an Identi-pen. I found these at Michael's. These are their illustration pens from Artist Loft. This is just the Michael's brand of pens. These worked really well too. And I also used the Faber-Castell, and I used the black liner from Molotov. All of them worked perfectly for this. And when I say worked perfectly, it means that the paint didn't bother them. So when I got the paint on there with a little bit of water, it didn't bother it at all. So I didn't have any issues with it smearing or running or anything like that. So if you can't find the high-end micron markers or pens, look for either a Molotov black liner. These are available on Amazon. Good old-fashioned Identi pen. That's from Sakura. You can find these
They're asking
almost
about the
anywhere.
gold.
And the Artist Loft, these are available at Michael's. So all of these can be found relatively easily. Micron, you can also find those at Michael's as well, and Hobby Lobby. All of these can be found relatively simply. I also discovered that my black gel pen works well too. But with the gel pen, I would ask you to sort of hit the paper with a coat of matte spray after you trace your drawings on, simply because sometimes it takes longer to dry than others. So,
They're asking about the edging.
Oh, so the edge of my pens, this is what I use. You can get these ones. This is the Craft Smart version. This is the multi-surface. It's an oil-based paint pen. You can get these at Michael's. So this is the Craft Smart brand that they have at Michael's. This is the one that I really love. This is the Deco Color. It's a premium gold paint pen. This one is from Ushida. I get these off of Amazon. And these are fantastic. But from what I have heard, you're also available at Walmart in the U.S. in their paint department. So you can find these gold paint pens as well. These are fantastic. I love these. You picked up something. He managed to get black paint or something all over himself. He's nowhere near the paint.
Ow!
I don't know.
It's on my hands.
So I'm going to just quickly show you how to do this. You just take your favorite black pen, in this case an Identa pen, or the Molotov pen, or the Artist Loft pen, or even my gel pen will work just fine. And you just trace it on the way you would onto your regular surface, and then trace your line drawing with the gel pen.
Are you just freehanding that?
Yeah, just freehand it.
Okay. Center in the shot.
Sorry.
They're complaining, not me.
Okay. So you just draw it onto the cardstock or the watercolor paper in this case, and give it a couple of minutes to dry. And then you can use colored pencils. You can use watercolored pencils. You can use markers. You can use fluid acrylic. You can use regular acrylic to start adding color to these.
You need a big X to show you where the center
Where is the center? It's when he's got it zoomed in. I mean, it's already, a foot away from me, so every time he zooms it in, I can't move it even a little bit. So when I'm doing these line drawings,
she just ignores the X anyway.
I ignore the X anyway. When I'm doing these line drawings, I will add the shading areas with little tiny dots like so. So technically you don't really even have to shade them. The dots along the bottom of the berry, like so. This is how I shade or indicate where shading needs to be, is by putting in these little dots. So base color for this,
I'm gonna have to zoom in again.
I'm using a little bit of the fluid acrylic, and I've thinned it out considerably with water. And the paper is dry. I'm not using the paper wet. So I'm just putting a little bit of that green in. Easy peasy. Now I'm using fluid acrylic, but you can use the regular Americana for this. It'll work just fine. Just thin it out. You're just adding sort of a little bit of a watercolor effect to this. Nothing over the top. Just fill in the space. I'll switch over to the Americana for the berries. I'm just going to thin out a little bit of this country red for the berries. And just fill in the space. It's like coloring books when we were kids. Just try to keep the color inside the lines. Or not. That's entirely up to you.
Yeah, coloring books. You can't tell me what to do.
So there we've got a little
This
color.
is now brown.
Exactly. Who said they had to be that color? So I'm just putting a little bit of color in, and we're going to add a little bit of shading just to give these a little depth. I'm going to do that with a little bit of that plantation pine. Oops. I'm going to rinse out my brush a little bit better. There. And I'm going to shade a little at the base of that leaf, and again here. And
Is that a wet palette? No.
Nope, I use a dry palette. So there I have a shading on that, and a little shading at the base, like so. And there you go. It's really that simple. Just think of it as just changing up your surface, adding other colors, adding other elements to it. And then don't be shy, grab some of that great glitter and brush that right over your tag. Oops, it wasn't quite dry. And give those a chance to dry. Now, I put my varnish on both sides because I found if I only put it on one side, they buckled, and just like this. You can see they started to curl. So I took my hairdryer and that heat, and I quickly dried one side, and then I put a coat on the other side. So once this side was dry, I just flipped it over and put another coat on the back side. The nice thing is when this varnish is dry, you can take your Identipen and you can add things to it, like to from with your Identipen.
Yep.
So you can write right over top of that glitter varnish with your Identipen. So, but to keep it from buckling and curling, make sure you put a coat on both sides of your paper. Add your favorite string or your ribbon.
In different colors, or is it just gold and silver?
It actually, the glitter inside is a variety of colors, and it varies from gold at certain angles, and then it changes to a purple, to a pink, to a blue. It almost holographic, so you get a variety of different colors in it as you move it and as light hits it. So lots and lots of fun to do this. You can play with color. Like I said, work at it with a little bit of colored pencil or your fluid acrylic or watercolor pencils or your favorite watercolors. You can do all sorts of fun and interesting things just using these simple tag patterns. Awesome. That was fun. Hi guys. So get a little creative. Drag out some old cardboard boxes and some cereal boxes and whatever you have on hand and start creating your own surfaces. You can do all kinds of really cool things with it. And break out a pen. See what you can do with a pen and a little bit of watercolor pencil and a little bit of watercolor or fluid acrylic or just your Americana. You can do all kinds of fun stuff with it and create some really great gifts and some really awesome ornaments. Get your grandkids involved, get your kids involved, get everybody involved, and have some fun creatively this Christmas. Oh my goodness. And before I go today, I do have to tell you who the winner of our giveaway last week was. Elsie Sturm. Elsie won that gorgeous wooden sled from Southern Ridge Trading. So Elsie, pop your information into a quick message. Let me know where you are. Send me your shipping information and we will get that out to you as soon as possible. The holidays are coming and they're coming up fast. I am not doing a live next week. Not on Saturday, but you can find me Friday on the Decor page. We're doing a live there. We have another great Christmas project for you there. So join me on Friday on the Decor Maker page, on their Facebook page for a live on Friday. We'll be advertising it through the week so you know what we're working on. And there'll be a free pattern for that one at the end of the live. You'll find that on my website. So Guys, have a great week. Thanks for joining me today and stay safe. Mwah. Love ya.